been full of caffeine since Christmas, which has been awesome as a student. So I think we're gonna get started. If you guys can't hear me, just shoot me a text or a message in this chat. If you can't see anything, again, don't hesitate to tell me, because I want you guys to learn, and it's fun to talk about cats. Okay, so this month we are talking about cat care and health. Hey, Adriana, we're just getting started. Thanks for joining us. So like I said, we're going to talk about cat care and health this month, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know most of this, but it's good just to dust off things to look out for, especially when it comes to cats being ill. So let's get started. So we're going to do a really brief summary over the body systems, because I mean those each alone could take a whole hour. So we'll just do the very tip of the iceberg of that. Then we're going to talk about, like I said, cat care, how to make sure your cat is healthy and happy, and then we're going to wrap up with talking about first aid kits for your cat. Oh man, I wish I could move the, I guess you guys can see it on your screen, right? I'm just noticing that it kind of cuts off up here. I don't know how to change that, so bear with me. Hopefully you guys can see it on your own computer. Okay, so there are a total of 12 body systems in the animal, and they include skeletal, muscular, integumentary, respiratory, digestive, urinary, reproductive, cardiovascular, nervous, endocrine, lymphatic, and the immune system. So a lot. And I just had a funny little face here because, like I said, there's a lot of information within each of those systems, but luckily we already talked about, and this doesn't match up here either, but we talked about the digestive and the reproductive in previous lessons, so we're not going to talk too much about those, or at least in detail. So getting started with the skeletal system. So although they are much smaller than people, the cat skeleton has 18 bones more than the human skeleton. Does anyone know how many the human body has?
Hi.
Oh, geez, you scared me. Welcome, Andrew. Do you know how many bones are in the human body?
No.
Anyone else know? Any guesses? I'm glad you guys are here so I don't have to talk to an empty room. So there are 206 bones in the human body, but like I said, cats have 18 bones more. So they have, if you do the math, 224 bones total, which is quite a bit for how small they are. And these extra bones that I pointed out here, and again, it might be hard for you guys to see, where the arrow is, they have extra bones there that help them be flexible and turn in ways that are impossible for people. And just like us, the skeletal system helps support the body and protect internal organs. So basically, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere without that structure. You wouldn't be able to walk or stand or even sit. You would just be a little blob. And then another thing that I thought to include for the skeletal system is their retractable claws. So when you guys see paw prints in the snow, you can tell if they're a cat or a dog by, I guess I didn't put a picture up here, but if you can see it, the nail marks, and the nail marks would be from dogs because they don't have that retractable feature, whereas cats do, and I kind of just pointed that out here. You can see how there's a tendon here that controls that mechanism. So kind of cool. So next, we will talk about the muscular system, and this kind of adds on to the skeletal system because in order to stand or walk, we need our muscles. So we have our brain that sends out messages to the muscles that make them contract, and that creates motion. So cats' strong muscles are what allow them to walk, run, pounce, or be their crazy cat self, just in general. So the muscles are responsible for internal movement, along with other things that allows food to be digested as well or circulated around the body. Actually, I might. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Next, we're going to do the integumentary system. Do any of you guys know what that is? It's kind of a weird word. You have an idea?
It's the skin.
It's the skin. I don't know who said that, but great job. Exactly right. So, like I said, kind of a weird word, but it just is a fancy way of saying skin, and it protects the underlying organs. And then the fur helps insulate their body against heat loss. So who here thinks cats and dogs sweat through their skin like humans? Think so?
No.
You're right. So have you ever felt your dog or cat's nose and it's wet?
Mhm.
So that's how dogs or cats would expel their extra heat. So they don't have sweat glands like we do because they have more fur or hair than we do. They can also pant, which we will talk about a little bit later, but that's another mechanism for them to release that extra heat. So next, we are going to talk about the respiratory system, which controls the cat's breathing, obviously. So when the cat breathes in, the air contains a lot of oxygen, and that gets taken up into the cat's body. Oxygen is needed by the cat's muscles in order to work properly. And then when the cats breathe out, they expel extra carbon dioxide. You guys know all of this, that their body was holding in. And then the respiratory system helps them regulate temperature, keep them cool by panting. And this is just a fun fact, but their normal respiration rate is 20 to 40 breaths per minute. Do you have a question?
This is a question that has to do with their smelling, but do they have scent glands in their mouth?
That's a really cool thing about cats is they have all sorts of glands all over the body. And so have you ever seen your cat like rub against maybe your face or the side of a table or your computer?
Or your legs?
So that's them marking, and they have all these different glands throughout their body. It's kind of crazy.
They do have another way of marking, which is taking a
You
number
know that one. I would rather have them do it by their glands than the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. And next we have the urinary system. And this system is responsible for getting rid of the body's waste products. If a cat's body was not able to get rid of waste, the cat would slowly be poisoned by the buildup of these materials. And these products are filtered out through the kidneys and then are combined with the urine. And this is when a cat urinates. So another reason why, like you said, when they scent mark with their urine, it smells very gross. It's very pungent because of all of this waste that they have to get rid of. And that's what the urinary system does for the body. And then we have our cardiovascular system. Does anyone want to tell me what that is? You know?
It's where the heart is.
Yeah, it has to do with the heart. So it includes the heart, which, as we all know, doesn't look like this, huh? But it has blood vessels, and it performs the function of pumping and carrying blood to the rest of the body because all of our tissues need blood to survive because our blood has oxygen, as we just talked about in the respiratory system. And this is how our cells in the body perform work. So does anyone know if our heart rate is faster or slower than a cat's?
I'd say maybe slower.
You might think so, but it's actually faster. Yeah.
I was thinking slower since cats, if they're not, if they're not friendly to humans and like live in the forest, they have to move a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they have a smaller body, so it pumps a lot faster. So theirs is a lot faster. Like I said, it's 125 to 130 beats per minute versus our 70 to 100 beats per minute. So quite a bit faster.
Excuse me?
Yeah,
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Difference in the heart between a human to a cat heart?
What was your question?
I was wondering if there's a difference between a heart, like, does it have different, like, design to a human?
I should double check this, but I'm pretty sure it's similar to the human heart where it has 4 chambers,
Okay.
but it's just smaller. But who's asking this question? Oh, Adriana.
Yeah.
I can find that out for you and make sure, but I want to say it's the same. It just is smaller, maybe a different shape as well, but still does the same function of pumping blood in and out. But good question.
Thank you. I was just wondering because we're learning the circulatory system right now.
So maybe you should teach the class. Okay, bear with me. We're getting through these. Okay, next up is the nervous system, which is what? Do you guys know?
It is essentially where everything really happens, from them feeling to them smelling.
Which is controlled by your brain, exactly. So the nervous system is essentially the body's communication system, and it's responsible for carrying signals throughout the body. It tells your arm to move up and down. It tells your eyes to blink, so it does it involuntarily or voluntarily. For example, Andrew, if I were to throw a ball right at your face, what would you do? You'd catch it, right? Without thinking about it. Or block your face, one of the two.
I'd probably blink.
Yeah, you blink first.
I'd probably flinch.
Blink,
Yeah.
and then you'd probably try to protect yourself, huh?
That, or it would just.
Yeah, I hope not. But that's what the nervous system is supposed to do. It just gathers information and then stores it and tells the rest of the body to do certain things. Next, we have the endocrine system, which is a little bit different. Does anyone know what this is? We kind of talked a little bit about it. I'll give you a
It
hint.
removes waste.
That's the urinary.
Oh wait, yeah.
It has to do with integumentary, sort of. What did I ask about versus cats? If they had the same kind of what?
It deals with hormones.
Yeah, hormones. So the hormones are substances that travel through the bloodstream and affect other organs. And they regulate metabolism, growth and development, tissue function, sexual function, reproduction, sleep, mood. It does a lot of things. So if you're stressed out when you're getting ready for a test, that's your endocrine system doing the work. So this is just a cute little picture showing the pituitary communicating to the hypothalamus to encourage exercise. So just one of those little things that you don't think about very much, but it is one of our systems. Oh, and I forgot. Like I just said, produces hormones for process regulation. And then the lymphatic system, this is also kind of one people don't talk about too much. Does anyone know this one? So this kind of ties into your immune system that helps the body fight off disease. And it does that with the lymphatic system, but it's made up of lymph vessels and these lymph nodes. And it also works with the cardiovascular system to return fluids that escape from the blood vessels back into the bloodstream. And here, yeah, just helps fight off disease. And then our last one that we will briefly cover is the immune system, which protects yourself from disease. And it helps fight off infection and illness by battling the disease. It supports the respiratory health and promotes muscle growth and tissue repair. And then it also recognizes the cells that make up your body and will try to get rid of anything that's unfamiliar. So it's like your own body's line of defense when you're sick. And like I said, it destroys germs like bacteria and viruses and parasites. So I know that it was a lot of information, but that kind of just gives you the brief overview of systems. So with that, let's do our first activity. So I don't know if you guys at home printed these out or if you can do them online. I can maybe try to maneuver it up here.
We
We'll see.
have a crossword.
It is a crossword. So it's the body systems crossword. Let's. So it should look like this. Let's see, it's 6:15. So maybe I'll give you 5 minutes if you want to look it over, and then we can either try to fill it out depending on how much time we have, or just move on. So I might get some music, and you guys go ahead and work on those or just look them over to start out with. Let's see, what are you guys in the mood to listen to?
Helps you.
Did you guys print them out? You got them?
Yeah.
Okay. How about
It's okay. Gather some stores.
okay, we'll play this song while you guys work on this. Hopefully you've seen the movie. Maybe I'm too old. Have you not seen this, Andrew?
It's been a long time. You've seen it.
It's the
This
best
is one of Mom's favorites.
Oh, me too.
Gather some stores of information. Crazy word. No, just one. No. There's this one too. No, you're not. Oh, I like what I'm
Skeletal? No.
That's what running is doing. When you run, it's your mark.
Hard.
oxygen and then it's
Respiratory.
All right. Hopefully you guys made a dent. See how far you got. How far did you get, Andrew?
Well, right now we have 5 words left.
5 left. Which ones do you have left?
We
the
have
down one starting with,
3.
which you know what that one is. You just haven't written it down.
Well, oh yeah. So technically only 4.
Great. Okay, well, I don't know where the rest of you guys are at home if you were working on it, but I would write them out, but for time's sake, I'll just tell you what the answers are. Okay,
Wait.
It's okay. She can start. and
I'll
then-
start on the across. How about
Yeah,
that?
and you've got.
And then once we get to the ones that you're not at, I'll see if you can answer them. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay,
There should be.
so to get rid of the body's waste products is what system? The urinary. Helps fight off infection and illness. Immune, that's 7 across. The immune system. Gathers and stores information. So your brain does a lot of this, and that's your nervous system. And then the funny word for skin and fur that protects your organs, which is the only really long word across, which is integumentary. Now, starting with the down, number 1, pumps and carries blood to the rest of the body. As we know, that's your cardiovascular, because your heart pumps all the blood to the rest of your body. Number 3, supply oxygen and remove carbon dioxide, which is respiratory.
I haven't done anything past
it's
this
okay.
yet.
You're at 4.
I'm at 4.
Okay, so produce hormones that maintain bodily functions. One of those weird ones. Does anyone else know?
Wait.
The lymphatic.
The lymphatic. It's one of those odd ones that we don't talk about very much. Great job. Supports body and protects organs. That's why I'm standing right now.
Skeletal.
Skeletal. Great job. 2 more. Produces hormones for process regulation. Hormones equals endocrine. And last but not least, we'll end on an easy one. Allows for physical movement. That's why I can walk and be a weirdo up here. Muscular. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Ooh, we have so many people here now. Welcome, everybody. Sorry I didn't see you come in here. Let's see. Where was I? Right. Okay. So next, we are moving on to caring for your cat. And like I said, I'm sure you guys do a fine job taking care of your cat. We're just going to talk about some things that you may have not known or better ways to enhance their life. So I like to think of it as the 3 E's of caring for your cat. And they are 1, environment, 2, exercise, and 3, examine, which we will segue into our last part with that as well. So when bringing a cat home, you want to create a cat-friendly environment, or the first E, so E for environment. And it is crucial to have your cat or your house cat-proofed. And that just means making sure that you can save yourself a headache later, because, you know, if you have a cat, that they get into everything. So it's, like I said, very important that you take all the dangerous items and put them where cats cannot get them. Things like poisonous plants or chemicals, or maybe certain foods. I added this video. I'm sure you guys have seen your cat do this maybe, but but they are notorious for knocking things off of if you left them on the counter or I guess anywhere. So I was just going to reiterate that breakable items aren't safe if you put them higher up. You should put them in a cabinet of some sort because as we will find out here,
They can
cats,
climb
they
and jump.
can. They jump, they climb, and as we'll see, they knock stuff off. You guys can watch this. See, they knock each other off. See, this is a class. Why? We will never
No,
know.
I wasn't.
Because cats. This one's pretty impressive.
What, is he gonna knock them all down? Like, if he knocks them all down.
He obviously doesn't like anything on the counters. Maybe he's just trying to help his owners out, huh? So as you saw, it's very important to keep your breakable items stowed away, especially like chemical products. If they were to knock them down, they could eat them, which as we'll learn later, can be super toxic to cats. So it's better not to take any chances. Other hazards might include checking dryers before turning them on. I don't know if your cats find weird places to sleep. I know mine do sometimes. Not letting cords dangle. I mean, they might play with them, but it could be a choking hazard if they were to get it tangled around their neck. If you do let your cats on the counter, which I try not to because I just maybe a clean freak like that, but watch for your stove. Sometimes people don't think about that and they can walk across it and burn their feet. And then keeping if you have a trash out, keeping a lid on it so that they don't get into anything they shouldn't. Or keeping your cat indoors, and I think we talked about that in a previous module about how important it is and how much safer they are if they're inside. So one key to creating a good environment is to maintain stability, which is the second part of this slide. And I have here to create a routine and consistent rules. So routines are really, really good for your cats. You might not think about it, but it's crucial for them to stick to it. I know one of my cats is more prone to being stressed out even by the slightest change. So it's good to get into that regular routine and just try to minimize any changes to your routine. And then another thing I think is important are keeping consistent rules. If your cat is not allowed on the counter, like I said, then don't let them stay on the counter just because you're feeling lazy or don't want to get up. If your cat's not allowed in your bedroom, then you should never let them in. They just get used to breaking the rules. They push their boundaries because that's what cats do. So if you let them do that and or show them that they can get away with it, then it creates a bad habit of them. And then we'll talk more about this next month about their behavior, but it's really important to give your cat some alone time. I know I struggle with this because I just love my cat all the time, but it's good to not bother them throughout the day. Just give them some space because that's their instincts. They want to have space to themselves because they are solitary animals for the most part. Unless you have a really weird cat that likes to spend all the time, then lucky you. I was just going to continue talking about some unwanted behaviors that can arise if the routine is broken up. And this might include having a new family member or pet. If you have parties and cats aren't used to new people. And a big behavior problem that usually occurs or develops is the cat not using the litter box, which we all don't want to clean up. Whatever, if it's number 1 or number 2, it's not fun. So that could be because your cat is stressed because the routine is off. So again, just try to keep it as normal as possible. And I added this because I thought it was kind of funny. The rules for the cat. The cat is not allowed on the furniture. All right, the cat can go on the furniture, but not on the kitchen counter. Okay, the cat can go on the kitchen counter too, just not when I'm preparing food. Deal? Fine, the cat can go wherever it wants, whenever it wants, as long as it doesn't swat me in the face at 5:30 in the morning, demanding to be fed. The cat will be fed at 5:30 in the morning. How many of you guys have a cat like this? I do too. Must be a cat thing. Okay, so the next E we are going to talk about is exercise. And we kind of covered this last month. As I talk about the content, you'll see why. So I'm just going to kind of topically talk about it. But it's very important to provide exercise, just like people, both physically and mentally. And this is called what? Does anyone remember what the other E word means when you stimulate the brain?
Enrichment.
I heard it, yeah, exactly. Enrichment. And just like us, we like our lives to be enriched. So we should try to do the same for our cats. And there are a lot of different ways we can do that and keep them engaged to stimulate your cat's brain. And this might include things like toys, which, as we talked about last week, you can buy a variety online or at Petco, PetSmart, any of those. But you can also, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have the struggle of leaving maybe your hair tie on the ground and you just bought $10 worth of cat toys, but they want to play with your hair ties. So cats will play with anything, but again, it's good to play with them. Good question?
My cat likes playing with suckers.
With suckers?
Yes, dum-dum suckers, random forks, and
See,
like plastic
just
forks.
entertains himself, doesn't he? Yeah, it's kind of silly. Play with whatever. I'm sure you guys have your stories of what they do that is really cat-like and weird.
We also made some catnip pizza.
You
My
did?
mom made it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, he likes it. It was his Christmas.
Do I hear a cat right now? Is that somebody's kitty? They're shy now. Yeah, I mean, how many of you got Christmas gifts, or as you're opening your Christmas gifts, they were playing with the paper, getting in your boxes? They just entertain themselves. It's pretty easy. But it's really important to play with your cat on a daily basis. Not only is it fun for them, it provides exercise to make them a healthy weight and for their mind as well, but it really encourages that bond between you and your cat. And then it's important to know, kind of like what we talked about just a minute ago, they have a short attention span, so they might only play for a short amount of time, but that's okay. Don't push it. That's just a cat thing. I feel like that's a normal theme when talking about cats. It's like, I don't know, it's just a cat thing. So another type of exercise is mental puzzles or plans. Like you guys said, you made your cat catnip pizza, stuffed pizza. That's pretty I should have a picture of that on here. It's pretty cool. And again, like you see up here, they can be store-bought, they're all over the place now, or like slow feeders, which is what I got my cats for Christmas because one of my cats likes to eat too fast and then throws up. But it makes him work harder for his food. But again, you can make your own out of toilet paper tubes. It's really, really fun to change it up and watch them get into. Actually, I thought I had a video. Maybe I don't anymore. Oh, it's in the Kahoot. Okay. Moving on. So the last E is examine. And as a cat owner, you must examine your cat on a regular basis. So this includes activities like grooming, trimming nails, and cleaning ears. And there are plenty of benefits to brushing or grooming your cat. So it'll reduce the shedding, which means less fur floating around your house. Whether it's long or short, they shed the same amount. And then continual brushing prevents hairballs, mats, and tangles, especially if you have a long-haired kitty. And then overall, it just keeps your cat healthy and looking good. So I have this cute video when I talk about trimming nails because it's really important when you practice these to do it or start it at a young age. And if you were maybe to adopt, say, a shelter kitty and you didn't have them from when they were younger, it's a little bit tougher. But if you ease into it, then you can maybe have a cat. Oops, and I have this picture. you can have a cat that just sits there like this and just lets you do it and isn't he doesn't have problem in his life. Just getting his nails trimmed. Okay. Wish my cats were that. Takes a lot of perseverance. But I've noticed that, again, if you have the opportunity to do it when they're younger and you just reinforce them with treats while they do it and it's a positive experience, and they'll just sit there like this. And it's pretty cool. And it's just like the same with dogs. It's just getting them used to that. And similarly with cleaning ears, everything with hygiene, you should start at a young age, make it part of their routine, and then you can have a careless, stressless situation like this. So that's what we should all strive for in our cats if they have their nails still. And like with cleaning their ears, that just keeps them healthy. And if you do it regularly, it's less scratchy, and it just makes it easier for everybody. And again, that's just a good thing to practice to make sure your cat is healthy, because and we'll talk about this in a second, but if they're sick, you can see it in their ears a lot of times. So just cleaning that routinely is really smart to do. And this can be done with a cotton ball. It's kind of like what doctors are saying with human Q-tips, is that you shouldn't use Q-tips on your cats, especially since they have all those weird folds. But they have all sorts of solutions on cleaning them with cotton balls, or you can take them to your vet and have them do that if you're uncomfortable with that. So the final thing, which is our segue into our last component of the talk tonight, is vital signs. And I don't expect you to take your stethoscope out and listen to your cat's heartbeat every day, but they have vital signs that you should be able to tell if they're normal or abnormal. And again, I'm not saying you should sit there and listen every day or multiple times a day, but usually you can tell by their behavior, and that's something you should look at, is if their breathing is slower, if it's really fast, and then if it's abnormal or they seem to be acting off, then you should follow the safety plan that you have in place. So we'll talk about that next, but first, let's play, oops, we already saw that. Let's play a friendly game of Kahoot. So I don't know those that joined us if you've all played this, but all you do, let's see, let me cancel out. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to click this. It'll take us to the website. And if you have your computer nearby or a phone or iPhone or whatever device you have, it's pretty easy to play. Let's see. So we'll do classic. And if you want to join, you just type in, where is it? Yep, kahoot.it.
Mom's phone's out of battery.
I have my computer.
Okay. It has like 42%, but it keeps dying.
Oh, mine is that too. Let's see. One of these days my phone won't be. Is it an older phone?
It is. I need to replace it, but just haven't had Christmas.
Okay. You got the rest?
It's a touch screen.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay. If you guys have questions, let me know. But like I said, if you have an app, great. But if not, just type in kahoot.it into a web browser, and then you type this game pin in here. It's super easy, so I'll wait for everybody to get logged in.
I need to.
And I'm sure if you want, you can.
I need to actually join. So, yes, but I can't really choose anything.
Get ready to join.
Oh, maybe since it's on mine, it's probably why. So let's do.
And 58111.
Oh, 3 ones. Enter.
Enter your name.
All right. How many players do we have? David. It's gonna play.
Okay, one sec.
Vince and Haydenville. Do you guys know how to access it?
Wiki meow.
Okay.
That's me. Oh, no.
That's-
What?
Are you David H? Aren't you David H?
I'm Wiki meow. My name is Andrew.
Okay, so we have everyone in that. Let's see. 4, 5. We're missing a player.
I think we have everybody.
We have everybody?
Do we have Vince?
We have Vince?
Mhm.
Okay, and Hayden Felt?
Mhm.
All right. Let's get started. Oh, there we go. Okay,
I like this computer.
it's pretty nice, huh? Yep. All right, are we ready? Starting on cat help. Okay, which E doesn't belong when caring for your cat?
Museum and elephant. Elephant. Wiki meow.
Oh, nice. Starting out strong. Great job. Okay. Cats can't get to breakable items that are in high places. True or false? We have all the answers. There we go. Oh, so close. All right. Oh, here's the video. I was very proud I found this. I thought it was very cute. Okay. What type of exercise is shown in the video? Mental or physical? Figure it out. Mental. So that was an example of how you can make your own enrichment at home. They just put it in a water bottle and make the cat get it out with its paws. And then, which isn't one of the 3 components of hygiene an owner should practice with their cat?
There's trimming nails.
Good job. All right,
But we.
our winner is David. Good job.
You are supposed to give baths to your cat.
You can, but most times cats should do that themselves.
Yes, but
Sometimes if your cat can't bathe itself, then yeah, that would be, but I just mean for most cats that should bathe themselves on a regular basis. Okay, great job everybody. Now, the last part of the meeting tonight will be discussing first aid. Do we have a question? Maybe. I want to make sure no one else has
here we are.
Well, it's not cooperating like normal, so
Sorry.
let's continue on. We have 15 minutes left. Okay, so first aid. We'll talk everything in regards to keeping your cat safe, whether it's at home or going to the vet, and then signs to look out for. A little bigger. There we go. Okay, so as we just discussed, being part of a cat owner means knowing when your cat is feeling off or not quite him or herself. We've all been there, whether you're feeling ill and you just not feeling 100%. But the difference is we can tell people how we feel, whereas cats can't talk to us. They can maybe meow, but we don't know what they're saying. So it's really important to watch their behavior and see if their health is declining noticeably. So when you're detecting symptoms of sickness, you should have a safety plan, like I mentioned, and that's knowing whether you should just monitor it and make sure that it's something that can either get better on its own or just getting medication you can give them, or making sure they go to the vet to be seen right away. And things that should be monitored are things like diarrhea, vomiting, runny nose, pale gums, and different kinds of skin health. They could have flaky skin, lumps under their skin, things like that. That's something you should definitely monitor, and if it persists, definitely take them to immediate care. And then we'll go into more detail with the immediate care side, whether they are they've gotten into some poison, they're in shock, or if they are experiencing hypothermia or hypothermia. And this is something that you should definitely make sure they go to the vet right away. So the first one being poisoning. And again, we kind of talked about it a little bit. It's super important to keep toxic plants or chemicals out of the way for cats, because this happens when they ingest something hazardous, and it's caused from toxins from various sources, like we talked about with food, chemicals, anything like that, like cleaners maybe. It's just really important to watch out for that. Some symptoms to look out for would be drooling, vomiting, loss of appetite, diarrhea. They're really lethargic or tired, weak, maybe seem a little depressed. And then you can also look at their gums. They will turn a pale or yellowish color. And then finally, they could be really, really thirsty or urinate quite often. And what you should do for this is consult a vet immediately. I think that's all I had for that. Yep. And then the next one is shock, and not that kind of shock, the bad kind of shock, where they are not getting enough blood or oxygen to their tissues is what happens. It's caused by a drop in your blood pressure, or their blood pressure, excuse me. And so lots of things can happen. They can have blood loss, internal or external bleeding, where their temperature starts fluctuating. They can be really cold or hot. Again, you can look at their gums. They act really confused or slow moving. And then again, they are really weak and they have a faster heartbeat than normal. So again, the action would be immediately take them to the vet and to keep them warm, because they fluctuate with their body temperature so often. And this is just because the large drop in blood pressure. And then, can anyone tell me what the difference between hypo and hyperthermia is?
Hypo is extreme cold, hyper is extreme heat.
Excellent. Okay, you're exactly right. So hypothermia is too cold, and some symptoms can be confusion, or they'll be shivering, and then you can provide them heat right away or take them to the vet. And then, as she said, hyperthermia is when the cat is too hot, and they can be dehydrated or panting, seeking water, and then obviously you should try to cool them down as quickly as possible. And then it's important to have a first aid kit, not just for yourself, but for your cat, just for little things that you can take care of there or before you take them to the vet. And it's, like I said, pretty similar to ours. So you should have bandages, adhesive tape, a thermometer, tweezers, if they have a splinter or something, heat or ice packs for hyper or hypothermia, antibiotic ointment, disinfecting solution like hydrogen peroxide or rubbing alcohol, scissors, eyedropper, and maybe even a blanket, which I would hope most of you have. And then when you're transporting an injured cat, it's a delicate process and you should proceed with caution because they're uncomfortable and they hurt and they're probably going to take it out on you unintentionally. So you should be careful because they could be aggressive and may scratch or bite. Be extremely gentle when handling. I mean, if you think that they broke their back or their neck, you should probably try not to move them and call your vet right away. But definitely wear gloves and wrap them in a blanket or towel. And like I said, keep them in a straight line if possible. You don't want to prevent any further injury, especially if it's dealing with their spine or their bones. And then if possible, it may not be in all cases, you should use a cat carrier. Just so if they don't like car rides, they don't stress out even more moving around. And then some don'ts that you shouldn't ever do are using fast movements because again, it's really stressful and scary for them as it is if they have some sort of cut or wound. And then don't wait until tomorrow if you have even any inkling that it could be serious. So then once you get to the vet, you should let them take it from there. They're the professionals, so they're going to do what they need to do. They know way more than we do about everything animal or cat related. And then I just threw in a little tidbit about doing annual checkups. And these are really important to make sure that not only are they healthy, but they can screen for cancers or blood problems, things like that. So they might do physical examinations, fecal samples, blood or urine samples, and then vaccination boosters, which all of your cats should have.
What is a fecal?
Yeah, it's when you go to the litter box and get their nice treat that they left for you.
What about the boosters?
Their shots.
Their shots, yep, just a fancy
We
word.
could have
shots.
just said vaccination.
Well, if they've had one, then every
Yeah.
subsequent one is called a booster shot.
So they have their initial shot, and then they get boosters after that.
Okay.
So with that, I have our last activity, which is creating a first aid kit. And let's see, we have 7 minutes. So if you guys want to start on that, I'll find some more cat music for you.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
I have another question. This is
What's your
Adriana
question?
Hernandez.
What did you say?
This is Adriana Hernandez. I have another question.
Okay.
My vet told me for dogs that if they eat something bad, that you can give them Pepto-Bismol. Is that the same for the cats, or is there something different with the digestive system that you can't give that?
See, I've always been told by my vet never to give your animal human medicine unless directed by your vet, which, like I said, I've never been directed to do that, just because they might react differently to a drug, and you also don't know the dosage of how much to feed them. I also hear people will try to give their animal, I know there's different solutions to make them vomit, which again, if your vet advises that, then that's fine. But I usually stay clear, just because I don't want to make it worse if they are sick and then adding human medicine to it. But I'm not a vet, so that's as much as I know. Sorry if that doesn't answer your question very much, but I haven't
Thank
heard
you.
of anything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would she need peanut butter?
Maybe she's hungry.
Okay. Let's see. We are doing. Okay. So if you haven't read it already, put together a first aid kit for this cat, and then there are some additional questions at the bottom.
You get lost. I hate pants. Yes.
Ooh, I got a good one.
Adhesive tape? What?
Just a pause. I think you comments on there.
I'll just adhesive tape.
Tape that you use. Like when we wrap presents with that adhesive tape. How are you going to
It's really hard.
or scissors? It's okay, you don't have to screw it up. S.
And also they might.
And
How would that be? Also part if it's not successful.
chocolate in there.
No, that's poisonous to cats.
Baseball. Baseball.
Yes, poisonous. No, that's holy.
What about an eye dropper?
Can probably. Food. Oops.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. You know,
Okay, so we are closing in on 7 o'clock, and I see some of you guys are done. So we'll go through them really quick. I don't know who had the question about the heart. I just checked it, and they do have the same. They have 4 chambers, just like the human heart. So it's probably just smaller and maybe shaped more for their body size and their shape. But
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Is it Adriana or Adriana?
Adriana.
Adriana. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go through this really quick. Let's see, where is my? You guys are just Speedy Gonzalez over here. So what? Let's use the marker. Do we need peanut butter for a first aid kit?
No.
No. Do we need disinfecting solution?
Yeah.
Yes. Do we need a compass or a calendar?
No.
No. You can use your phone to go to. You should know where your vet's office is. Hopefully. You probably want an ice or heat pack for what?
Sores
Yeah,
or
Yep, exactly. If they have a cut, you're gonna want tape, right? You're gonna put bandages on them. Do you want a knife?
I would say yes, but that's mostly just my thinking.
Replace it with scissors.
You could do a knife or scissors. I personally don't trust myself with a knife, so I guess they didn't include scissors on here. So we'll do this.
Yeah, you cross it out and then
Scissors.
scissor.
Scissors.
Nice. Okay. Do we want antibiotic ointment?
Yes,
Why?
because it will probably help.
Exactly. Great job. And then we obviously need pictures of funny cats in there, right?
No.
Yeah. No. Should you give our cats chocolate when they're sick?
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, we could put a baseball hat on them to see if that makes them feel better. No? Okay. Should we give them a blanket or
Yeah.
cold medicine? I would want that if I was sick. And then maybe, I don't think we really need a pen, but we should probably have an eyedropper. Okay. So, moving onward, you guys have any other, let's scroll this down a little bit. Wait. Do you have anything else that Lizzie should add to the kit that I didn't include on the list here?
I would say zip ties.
Well, there's food
Zip
and
ties?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I don't have that on my list. But that might be useful.
A pet carrier probably, which should be included right beside it.
Right?
Hey.
I agree. So what's your question?
well, not a question, but I was saying food and treats counted as one thing. The treats in case, like, it's a back.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because then they can still eat it, like, just to make them feel a little bit better.
If they're sick, they might not want it, but you can always include it.
Yeah.
Because if I
And then
had a tummy
also-
ache, I probably wouldn't want to eat. But
And also water.
yeah, no, definitely water is number one. I didn't put a thermometer on here.
What about the immunization records?
Oh, that's a good one. Emergency numbers, yeah, or their vaccinations. It's a great idea. And then I have, I did have it on here, tweezers or scissors. Okay, and then moving on to the last part. Sorry, I'm going over a little bit. So Katie notices that her cat, Buttercup, is shivering, has a reduced heart rate, and is disoriented. Buttercup is experiencing hyper or hypothermia.
Hypothermia?
Hypo, right? Is that what she said?
Yep.
Oh, yep. They're cold. I always think of it as like, oh, I'm cold. Hypothermia. Tom the cat has lost a considerable amount of blood. His body temperature is decreasing, weak pulse, pale gums, and he is slow moving. This is a sign of shock or hypothermia.
Shock.
Perfect. Rock stars. It is a hot summer day with a little breeze. Winston starts panting and his heart and respiration rate increase. Winston is experiencing hyperthermia or poisoning.
Hyperthermia.
Great job. All right, last but not least, Megan has a cat named Sadie who was injured. Sadie had been playing out in the field near a barbed wire fence and now has a deep cut. Megan wants to take her to the vet, take her cat to the vet. What are some things to consider for transporting Sadie to the vet?
Bandages. Not necessarily, towel.
Towel,
Because,
blanket, bandages.
yeah, because you need to get rid of the blood.
Yeah, you definitely want to
That's
put
the
pressure
loss.
on it. Do you guys
Yeah.
have anything else to say?
I would say definitely just to make sure to put pressure on it before going over there. Just to make sure that it doesn't go unconscious.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Would you guys advise putting the cat in a carrier?
No,
No?
probably not.
I would think carrier would be better because then it can't see what's happening and it wouldn't freak out.
Well,
I agree. And you never know. I mean, if it's bleeding, you probably want to keep it contained in the vet or the carrier, just so that it's not all over your car, but also they're not running all over the place. Because it's a hazard if they're in your car while you're driving, especially if they're stressed out. So I know I'd probably do a carrier, but hey, it depends on the situation. But other than that, I have nothing else for you guys. If you have any questions, again, please tell your friends if you enjoyed this, or tell me suggestions on how to make it better, because I want to perform for you guys. I like being a weirdo. What else do I have? Oh, the undergrad Jasmine is going to present next month's behavior presentation. So you guys, I'll be here, but she's gonna try to give it a go. But if you guys don't have any questions, I hope to see you guys next week. Oh, do you have questions? Oh, I saw. Great, Abby. Sorry I didn't see this. Oh, a tourniquet. Good idea. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I hope you had a great holiday season, and good luck this semester.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also,
Bye. Have a great night.
for Christmas, I got the 4th series of the book called the book's Warriors. It's
What's that?
about cats.
It's about cats.
Drew,
Just
come get your shoes on while you talk, please.
about- You want
Okay.
it to?
Or do you like to read a lot then?
Well, I like Warriors.
Is Worries about cats?
It's
Well, yeah, it is.
it's
Oh.
fiction.
Oh, cool.
It's about different tribes of cats,
Clans.
Funny.
clans of cats.
What did you guys do for Christmas?
Well, we just kind of stayed at home. For New Year's, we went to